welcome to Talk Truth. My name is Corey Huntsberger. I've got my father, Alan Huntsberger, in the studio. Dad, like always, we're going to start off with our foundational verse because I think today's topic is going to need it. The earth and everything in it, the world and its inhabitants belong to the Lord. Did you hear that, UN? For he laid the foundations on the seas and established it on the rivers. Psalm 24, 1 and 2. We're living in a world, Alan, where World Economic Forum, the United Nations, everyone's making a grab for the world to tell us what to do, to lock us down, to say, you can't do this, you can't do that, and you're going to do it our way. And we're saying, whoa, 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 back off, hands off. Just a second. The earth and everything in it, the world and its inhabitants belong to the Lord. This is one planet that we all get to live in and we all need to share. And we all have a say in what happens, especially because the Lord says, hey, it's mine. I created it, right?
Absolutely. There's no question about that. And I think that if you question it, all you have to do is study history from as far back as you want to go, because I've studied it and gone all the way back, even at the beginning of time. And, man has constantly tried to say, oh, wait a minute, I'm king. It's like, no, you're not king. You're not in charge. And everybody tries to do their own thing. And in the end, it collapses. And the only thing that stands firm is when we put it on the foundations of the supremacy of God and the rule of law. And that's what's got to happen. Canada once lived that way for the first 100 years. And then, of course, we're 157 years old. And the last 50 some years, we've declined and declined and declined until we have prime ministers that don't even know who we are. We don't have prime ministers that don't even know what is our value system, or they don't even realize that we had a value system for over 100 years. And part of that, Corey, is our fault. And when I say our fault, I'm talking about the voice of the church, which I call in my book the prophetic voice. It's a Nathan going in front of King David and saying, "Hey, dude, you're the guy. You're the bad guy." And David beginning to realize his sin and the evil that he did against God with Bathsheba and her husband Uriah. So it goes way, 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 way back. Nothing's new under the sun, as King Solomon said.
Yeah, well, I'm excited about our guest. He's got some valuable information that we're going to be talking about today. His name is William Jasper. He's the president of the John Birch Society and the senior editor of The New American. He's known for his investigative work on globalism and the United Nations. It's his first time on the show. William, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Corey, and you, Alan. It's a pleasure being here.
Good to have you.
We're excited to have you. First question right off the bat, for those that don't know, tell us about the John Birch Society. What is it?
The John Birch Society is an educational, patriotic organization that was founded in 1958 as an anti-communist force to build an educational army. It was founded by Robert Welch, who was a very successful candy manufacturer and very much involved in the National Association of Manufacturers and other business organizations. And he realized this was 1958, during the Cold War, following World War II, when the communist regimes in China and Russia were gobbling up real estate all over the globe and penetrating our own government. This was a time when we saw in Canada and the United States the exposure of a vast network of espionage agents and agents of influence at the highest levels of government. And so he formed the John Birch Society, named after a hero in World War II in China at that time, Captain John Birch. And I'll explain that a little more here in a moment. But he formed this organization, called together in 1958 a group of a dozen top men here in the United States, and said, look, we have to have an organization that will really take on the serious business of opposing socialism and communism and big government here at home and the expansion of communism worldwide. There were hundreds of organizations, conservative, anti-communist organizations, but none, he said, which had really the scope and the whole program to oppose this. So the John Birch Society is not a political party, doesn't endorse candidates, but all of its members work very tirelessly to educate their fellow Americans, both as to the proper role of government. We support a strong Constitution of the United States. We support the free enterprise system, and exposing those, both the communists and the globalists. And that's where the John Birch Society got into trouble with the media and all of the big powers that be, now known as the deep state, because we were exposing the globalists, those who were promoting world government hand in hand with the communists worldwide, and supporting them. And I mentioned all of the espionage and agents of influence here in our government and Canada. It was your Prime Minister, Mackenzie King, who came to the United States in 1952 or 53 and brought the information to our government, to the House of Representatives, about infiltration in our own government here in the United States that he had gotten from the defector Igor Gazenko there in Canada. And so but when we started exposing that, and when other senators and congressmen started exposing this, they found out that they not only had to go up against the Communist Party and all of its vast apparatuses here and front groups, but very high-level people in government, banking, business, who were assisting and helping the communists at every turn. So we came under enormous attack, the Birch Society, and they did what everybody now recognizes as a very common smear tactic by the left and by the globalists. They started accusing us of being fascists, racists, all kinds of hate mongers, etc. But no, we were standing for God, family, and country, and opposing those who were trying to destroy our republic. So John Birch Society has been at it for over 60 years now, and came under horrendous attack, worse than what you see now against President Trump and other conservatives. But we survived that, and we're in a position now. People are saying, gee, they were right all along. And so we're going full steam ahead.
Well, that's fantastic. Tell us a little bit about, you're the senior editor also of The New American. What is The New American? Is that a website? Is it a magazine? What do you guys do there?
It is both. So The New American magazine is a print magazine. I was with it I have been with it from the beginning, which was in 1985. And I'm a senior editor. It was originally printed bi-weekly, and every 2 weeks we'd have a new issue. Just this year, we changed it to a monthly journal. And at the same time, we have had for many years the newamerican.com website, which publishes some of the same articles from the print magazine, but because we don't have the limited real estate of a printed page, we have a lot more on a daily basis, original exclusive articles, video interviews, video commentaries. So it's a full service news magazine website, and I encourage people to go there at thenewamerican.com. We have a lot of things that nobody else covers, and that was true even before there was a website. So for instance, the John Birch Society, one of our signature campaigns is to get us out of the United Nations. And so the Birch Society has had for decades huge billboards and yard signs and bumper stickers and envelope stickers saying, get us out of the United Nations and get the United Nations out of the United States. And we can get into that, but there are many reasons why we have campaigned on that and why we believe the United Nations is an irredeemable and unreformable and evil organization. And so the New American for decades was the only conservative organization, pro-life, pro-family, pro-Second Amendment here in the United States. That means the right for citizens to defend themselves and have the right to keep and bear arms, pro-property rights, all of those things. We were the only ones at the United Nations. And for over 30 years, I was our accredited correspondent at the UN and at UN summits around the world on disarmament, on the UN Criminal Court, on the particularly on global warming, which has dominated UN for and all the not just global warming, but their whole environmental enviro-Leninist agenda. So we have covered that for decades. In more recent years, a number of other conservative organizations, NGOs, and news organizations have started covering it. Many of the NGOs that cover it, in order to get NGO status there, they have to swear allegiance to the United Nations. We don't do that. And so they don't like us there. They've tried to keep us out a number of times. We've had to cause a fuss about it so that they would let us in. But so we've been covering that and exposing the United Nations at these events for all of these years. So the New American Magazine covers a wide swath of things on education, on politics, on economics, all of the various social issues, particularly covering the culture, the Gramscian communist revolution to completely overturn all of our cultural institutions and morality. So we cover a lot of that and interview many of the world experts who otherwise would not be given a voice. This was particularly true during COVID. At the beginning of COVID, we interviewed a number of the top medical and virological experts, epidemiologists, et cetera, whose voices should have been right in the forefront of this debate. There really wasn't a debate. And so people like Dr. Peter McCullough, Lee Merritt, Sucharit Bhakti, Dr. Robert Malone, many others like this, we interviewed, and sometimes we were the first ones to interview them and make them known, and then they got interviewed by many other people and now are well established. They can't be shut up. We've been doing that with other people from around the world, particularly victims of and escapees from communist regimes who expose what is actually going on in their countries. Meanwhile, most of the rest of the American and international media are covering this up and even apologizing for or glorifying these regimes. So we've been contrarians to the established ongoing world order right now for quite some time.
Can you give me the top one or two or three things of why the UN is something that we want to get out of? Because the lamestream media, all we hear, we're just indoctrinated every single day that the UN's great. We need the UN. The UN's doing this amazing stuff around the globe, yada, yada, yada. Why is the UN not great? Why do we need to get out?
Yes, well, the first one I would say right now that most people can identify with, most easily identify with, is the Sustainable Development Goals of Agenda 2030. And so the president of the UN General Assembly, Peter Thompson, said that the 2030 Agenda, Sustainable Development Goals, which now are plastered all over everything. All kids in school have to learn about this. So he said this is the master plan for humanity. Okay, so here's the UN saying they have a master plan for humanity. That is saying that there is a master the UN, and it has a plan for you. And if you have a master, then you have a slave or a subject. And we are the subject. So in short, the Sustainable Development Goals are 17 goals, which have 169 targets, 3,957 events, 1,351 publications, and 7,856 actions, which they have planned for humanity. They cover everything in this. Your energy, your travel, your food, your right to be able to govern your own life on any matter you choose. They say this is going to affect every person on earth and every activity of every person on earth. So that's my number one here. People are probably getting more and more familiar with these SDGs, Sustainable Development Goals, because they show up everywhere. In fact, on my phone, I showed on a recent program, I turned on my phone one day and I go, what's this icon? I haven't seen this before. It was a round circle with rainbow colors on it, and I clicked on it, and it was from Samsung, who is the producer of my phone, and it was a Sustainable Development Goals program, and you click on it, and it opens up with a jingle and tells us all about the Sustainable Development Goals. I hadn't downloaded that. It automatically appeared on one of their updates, and so that master plan for humanity is something that everyone should be aware of, because the masters have you as a subject, as a slave. Secondly, most important to Americans, or on the top list of important topics for Americans, is the right to keep and bear arms. Now, other people around the world may not relate to that as much because they don't have a Second Amendment in their Constitution. And the Second Amendment does not give Americans the right to own firearms, to keep and bear arms. It recognizes a God-given right that people have a right to defend themselves against common criminals, against foreign invaders, or against their own government if it becomes oppressive and totalitarian. The UN, by contrast, has been pushing unremittingly for the past 30 years and more, but particularly in the last 30 years and accelerating in the past decade, to implement their small arms treaty that would destroy Americans' right to keep and bear arms. It would completely eviscerate the Second Amendment, not only firearms, but ammunition. So it gives government a monopoly of force. And that's the very essence of dictatorship. Thirdly, and there are many others that we can go through, but thirdly, we have to keep in mind that this organization is itself a collection of dictators, mass murderers, kleptocrats, and the worst criminal classes in the world. So we have communist dictatorships like Communist China, Fidel Castro's Cuba, Venezuela, Iran, North Korea, and many others who are members of the Socialist International. In fact, the Socialist International has about 100 governments in the UN that are members of the Socialist International. So it is being run by these a vast majority of these nation states regimes that are completely opposed to, antithetical to freedom, and particularly to the Constitution of the United States. So
that's a good top three.
Yeah.
Is Canada one of the nations?
Canada, well, of course, is a member of the United Nations and has signed on to almost all of the programs that the United Nations is promoting, like the World Health Organization. Right now, one of the key issues is the International Criminal Court in The Hague, the ICC. Canada has signed on to that as well. And basically what that says is that if your government has signed on to it and you are accused of violating the ICC statutes or any subsequent criminal statutes that the UN or its agencies come forward with, you may be tried at the ICC in The Hague or whatever subsidiary judicial institutions it sets up outside of any protections that you have in your national constitution. So the United States, primarily because of the efforts of the John Birch Society and the New American Magazine, refused to sign on to this. One of the very few countries that have refused this. And that is because we exposed it thoroughly. We went to those international jurist authorities who were courageous and spoke out on it, like Professor Charles Rice of Notre Dame University and others, who pointed out that this was a blatant assault on national sovereignty and that this would give black-robed justices in The Hague, operating under the authority of the United Nations, to send out warrants and have arrested people anywhere in the world, and without any of the protections that you have of due process, presumption of innocence, and whatnot, be brought before these judges. And this is happening right now. I just wrote an article. We have three of the worst members of the House of Representatives, Ilhan Omar, Jim McGovern, and Sarah Jacobs, who sent a letter to Marco Rubio, because Secretary of State Marco Rubio and these three Democrat leftist congressmen called upon him not to terminate the it's called the Office for Global Criminal Justice, which is in the State Department, which was set up by Madeleine Albright, globalist, under President Obama, under President Clinton, to push forward to get the United States into this International Criminal Court. It has been there since 1997. And so finally, President Trump apparently has asked Secretary Rubio to get rid of this office because it's loaded up with all these leftists who are promoting subjecting the United States to a UN court. So right now, we're urging them to go ahead with this. President Trump was originally going to do it in his first term of office, but he didn't. He caved into the appeals by those who said we need it there. And this time, hopefully, we'll get rid of it, because this is a major attack on U.S. sovereignty and on all nations' sovereignty.
Yeah, we got 2 minutes left. Can the U.S. get out of the UN? And if they can, what is that? How long does that take for us to be done with these guys? And what will that do to the UN?
Yes, we can get out of the UN. There's no divine law that says we must remain in the United Nations. So the United Nations and our participation in it were created by an act of Congress. We can remove ourselves from it. It was started in 1945 in San Francisco. Alger Hiss, the communist agent in our State Department, was the first Secretary General. Every Secretary General since then has been a communist or a socialist. Right now we have a rare opportunity, the Defund Act, DEFUND, that stands for Disengaging Entirely from the United Nations Debacle, has been proposed in the House of Representatives and in the Senate. In the House, it was entered by Representative Chip Roy, in the Senate by Senator Mike Lee. They've been gaining co-sponsors every week. And so right now, if President Trump would get behind it and officially go for it, there is no reason why this is probably the first time ever we've had it in both House and Senate, where it's controlled by Republicans, and a White House controlled by the same party, where we could get it passed and signed. This would cut off all funding, not only to the United Nations, but to all of its agencies. It would remove us from the United Nations participation completely, and it would force the United Nations to move out of the United States. That's very important because we are supporting it. Without our money, without our constant support, it would not exist. And not only that, but that was the purpose from the beginning, was to have it here in the United States so that every communist and socialist country would be able to flood our country with their so-called diplomats and staff, all of which include components that are intelligence agents, that are spies, that are influencers. So we have many other things that real estate could be put forward for.
Well, William, we're out of time. We really appreciate having you on and you giving us an education. We're definitely going to have you back. And for people that might be saying, what's this got to do with me? It just came out on Epoch Times that the UN is now targeting homeschooling, which is fascinating because if you've been watching this show or if you've been paying attention, a lot of us are realizing that we got to get our kids out of the schools and the education system because it's nothing but an indoctrination system. And since that's been happening, and I'm sure they're seeing some momentum of people pulling their kids out of school and homeschooling, UN is now targeting homeschooling across the nations. Fascinating conversation. We're going to have more coming up later. William, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you, gentlemen. My pleasure.
Great information from William. Gotten schooled about the UN, dangerous organization. And I hope the United States can get out. If they can, I know a lot of countries, hopefully Canada, will follow.
Yeah.
Alan, we're asking people if they want to be a part of this mission of keeping truth on the air. We ask that you would join us, that you would partner with us. You can go to our website, gotalktruth.com, click on donate. That way you could give digitally. If you'd like to do it through the mail, you can. In Canada, you can make your gift payable to Talk Truth and send it to 246 Stuart Green Southwest, Suite 3260, Calgary, Alberta, T3H 3C8. If you're in the U.S., you can, again, make your gift payable to Talk Truth and send it to 4904 South Power Road, Suite 103-152, Mesa, Arizona, 85212. And if you like prayer, we are offering prayer 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And you can call our toll-free lines in Canada, 1-800-915-0056. In the U.S., 1-800-445-3450. And someone from our prayer team will cover you in prayer. All right, Dad, we are out of time. We appreciate everyone and the time they took to watch this program. We'll see you guys later.
Love you.